Illegal migrant accused of Russian roulette. Murder attempt weeps uncontrollably during ICE arrest. An illegal immigrant accused of attempting to kill a woman in a twisted caught-on-camera version of Russian roulette in Venezuela wept like a baby as the feds collared him on the streets of Texas. The post can reveal. Illegal migrant Raul Enrique Paragues Rodriguez, 31, fled Venezuela after trying to murder the helpless woman. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, told the Post. Paragues Rodriguez crossed the Texas border illegally on August 10, 2022, and was quickly released by overwhelmed border agents under the Biden admin, who had no information on his dark past. The Maduro regime wasn't sharing information with the feds under former President Joe Biden, leaving federal law enforcement in the dark about the thousands of Venezuelans sneaking over the border each month. This dangerous criminal alien allegedly beat, demeaned, and tortured a young woman in some twisted version of Russian roulette, and then fled to the U.S. when his attempt to murder her fell apart. ICE enforcement and removal operations, Dallas Acting Field Office Director Joshua Johnson said in a statement. Disturbing video of the murder attempt shows Paragues Rodriguez allegedly grabbed the woman, whom he lured to his workshop on February 24th, 2021, by the neck and pointed a gun at her head. Oh, right here. Can't read. This is in Spanish, I think, or Latino. Yeah, Spanish. Anyway, while in the U.S., Paragues Rodriguez allegedly committed an assault. ICE said ICE officers learned of the incident and encountered him on November 28, 2023. At the Dallas County Jail. Details of the assault were not immediately clear. However, because the Biden admin decided he wasn't a priority for arrest, the feds let him go without lodging a detainer with local cops, the immigration agency said. ICE finally nabbed the Venezuelan fugitive on August 14th in the Dallas suburb of, Plano? After Interpol issued an arrest warrant weeks before related to his alleged femicide attempt. Thanks to a tip from the U.S. Border Patrol, we were able to track him down and safely take him into custody so that he can repatriated to Venezuela to face justice for his alleged crimes, said Johnson. Venezuelan's warrant was issued in April 2024, but the U.S. government wasn't informed of it at the time, sources said. Additionally, Venezuela wasn't accepting deportation flights from the U.S. under the Biden admin. Since President Trump returned to the White House, the Maduro regime has agreed to share intelligence with the U.S. and accept deportation. Paragues Rodriguez remains in ICE custody pending his expected deportation, the agency. Wow. Maduro's fucking regime's actually allowing deportations. Finally. They're fucking shitty people, man. Alright, what do we got now? Trump was never inappropriate with anybody, Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell told DOJ. Here we go. The late pedophile Jeffrey Epstein's convicted accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell told Justice Department officials last month that President Trump was never inappropriate with anybody, and the time the disgraced financier and future commander-in-chief were friends. Maxwell, who is serving a 20-year prison sentence after being convicted in December 2021 of sex trafficking and conspiracy charges, sat for 2 days of interviews, led by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche in Tallahassee, Florida, July 24th and 25th. I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way, Maxwell told Blanche. Trump's former defense attorney of her interactions with the president when he was a friend of Epstein in the 90s and early 2000s. Maxwell, 63, provided virtually no information on other bold-faced names associated with Epstein, including former President Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, former Harvard University President Larry Summers, Microsoft founder Bill Gates, and former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. Audio and transcripts of the interviews were released Friday as the Trump admin seeks to quash rampant speculation about Epstein, who was found dead in his Manhattan jail cell August 10th, 2019. The UK-born Maxwell pushed back on almost every conspiratorial accusation leveled about Epstein since his 2008 guilty plea in Florida to soliciting sex from a minor, which saw him confined for 13 months, which of that time on work release. Those included allegations that the disgraced financier had so-called client list of rich and influential associates who were either involved in or blackmailed by Epstein to keep quiet about a shadowy sex trafficking ring that preyed on girls as young as 14. Maxwell likened the claims to a Salem witch trial frenzy against powerful politicians like Clinton, who she said never visited Epstein's pedophile island in the U.S. Virgin Islands, despite claims to the contrary from an Epstein victim and former Clinton aide. So the U.S. Virgin Islands is where the island is, the pedophile island, where he was doing the crazy, weird acts. He was facilitating, sex workers, basically, but minors. The narrative that was creative and then built upon, and it just mushroomed into what basically this is like a Salem witch trial, said Maxwell, who was transferred to a lower security prison in Texas shortly after the interview. People have gone and lost their minds for this thing. I understand that, but the issue is, how do you satisfy a mob who can't understand the lifestyle? Because it's like P. Diddy and Redux on TV with Clintons and Trump, Maxwell continued. I mean, it's bananas. And while some of it is real, Epstein, did do those things. I'm definitely not disputing that, she said. She added. But this was a man they didn't even believe he had a real business. I happen to believe he did. He's not that interesting. Maxwell summed up her former lover at one point. He's a disgusting guy who did terrible things to young kids. But you're the one who helped them out with it, too. What? Maxwell did break with the official story on one point, saying that of Epstein, I do not believe he died by suicide, contradicting the conclusion of a July 6 memo released by the DOJ and FBI. She added that it was possible that 66-year-old was targeted in his Manhattan jail by others, but she didn't believe that his so-called blackmail was being avenged. I don't think Epstein had a hit on like that. If it is indeed murder, I believe it was internal situation, she claimed. In prison where I am, they would kill you or they will pay. Somebody can pay a prisoner to kill you for $25 worth of commissary. I mean, I don't want to say it's true, but dude, you hear fucked up stories in fucking prison sometimes. People do some crazy shit, right? You even hear the gang wars sometimes that happen, right? I mean, there's literally whole documentaries on that shit. That's about the going rate of for a hit with a lock today. Maxwell's interview did little to resolve major outstanding matters of public debate, including the possibility that Epstein served as either a U.S. or Israeli intelligence asset. Maxwell, whose father Robert was himself a reputed Mossad agent, said that she had not deliberately interacted with anyone from the Israeli spy force, but that she wouldn't know if Epstein had. I don't believe so, but I wouldn't know. I mean, I would be very surprised if he did, he said. Well, also saying, I don't know the nature of Barack's relationship with Epstein, which featured about 30 documented interactions in 2013 to 2017 alone. Barack Obama, I'm guessing. Maxwell conceded that it was possible she lacked some information about Epstein's associates due to willful ignorance. There are men that went and had a massage and maybe did something sexual. They're men. I wasn't in the room. I cannot tell you if that happened, she said. Nobody ever said to me, oh, we had a sexual intercourse. I'd be like, okay, too much information. No, not my business. Basically, it sounds like those people in there were all right, to her knowledge. They were consenting adults to an extent. But who knows? She could be lying. Maxwell also said she lacked full recollection of the reasons why Epstein transferred her $30 million over the years. The revival of public interest in the case came this year after Attorney General Pam Bondi hyped looming bombshells at one point, appearing to indicate that there was a client list. Well, that's because she said there was on her desk. Unless that was some kind of rhetoric saying, oh, I don't really actually have one. But it's like, what? Why'd you say it? Bondi ultimately released the July 6th memo, asserting that there was no client list and that although Epstein allegedly victimized more than 1,000 women and girls, there was no evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. If the third parties don't come with their charges, then they're... The AG also insisted in that memo that no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted, embroiling the president in a weeks-long rebellion from supporters who wanted more disclosures. The Maxwell transcript released coincided with the Justice Department on Friday afternoon, providing the public-led House Oversight Committee with many other records on the case, according to a spokeswoman. There's a lot, tens of thousands of pages, the committee rep added of the first document's production. The committee intends to make these records public after through review to ensure any victims' identification and child sexual abuse material are redacted. The committee will also consult with the DOJ to ensure any documents released do not negatively impact ongoing criminal cases and investigations. Trump said Friday that he wanted greater transparency and supports, keeping it totally open. I couldn't care less, insisting that he was being falsely attacked for his past association with Epstein as part of a Democrat-led hoax. That's what Ghislaine Maxwell says. We will get more information. We release more. The man who allegedly killed family and murder-suicide boasted about being obsessed with husband and flying off the cuff. We got another one. The New Hampshire mom who killed her husband and 2 kids in a shocking murder-suicide said she could imagine best of being prone to fly off the cuff. Oh, wait. We already read this. What is this? Ukraine obliterates critical part of Russia's Druzhba oil pipeline as attacks ramp up after Trump-Putin summit. Ukrainian forces obliterated a critical part of Russia's Druzhba oil pipeline overnight. Kiev fought back against Moscow's ramped-up attacks despite ongoing peace talks. Ukraine bombed the Uncha oil pumping station in the Bryansk region late Thursday, according to the commander of Ukraine's unmanned systems forces, Robert Brovody. Footage posted on Telegram showed a huge inferno raging at a facility with multiple fuel tanks in the wake of the strikes. The blast. Bryansk Regional Gov Alexander Bogomaz said Ukraine had fired HIMARS rockets and drones at the region in a combined attack, setting the energy facility ablaze. HIMARS. The Uncha station, which is a critical part of Russia's Europe-bound Druzhba oil pipeline, supplies oil to Hungary and Slovakia. Ouch. So that's bad. Yeah, you don't want to blow that up. Hungarian and Slovakian governments both said supplies to their countries could be cut off at least 5 days in the wake of the latest strike. Well, yeah. The physical and geographical reality is that without this pipeline, the safe supply of our countries is simply not possible. Foreign Minister Peter Zizjardo and Juras Blanar said in a letter of Europe's Executive Commission on Friday. Russia and Ukraine have stepped up attacks on each other's energy infrastructure over the past few weeks, despite a push by President Trump to reach a deal to end the war. Moscow has reportedly targeted Ukraine's gas infrastructure, while Kiev has damaged several Russian refineries in a bid to disrupt Russian energy exports that are financing Russia's invasion. We have it. What do we got? Young people looking for answers in a messy world that turning to the Catholic Church. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, people People are turning to the church to gain more values and shit like that, right? These are tough times, man. These are tough times. This past April, as we gathered in Rome for the solemn duty of burying our beloved Pope Francis and electing a new Holy Father, my brother, cardinals, and I met for 2 weeks of day-long meetings to prepare for the conclave. We would discuss what was happening back home in our dioceses, what challenges we face, what qualities we thought the next pope should possess. Where is it? I lost my area. Heard over. Oh wait. Despite the sadness we all felt at the loss of Pope, there was a common hopeful refrain we cardinals heard over and over again. During one coffee break, one cardinal said, "Have you noticed all the young people from around the world who are here in Rome? I walked through St. Peter's Square today and spent time talking to a group of teenage pilgrims here for the Jubilee Year of Hope," another remarked. A group from one of the universities back home is here in Rome and invited me to say Mass for them, mentioned a third. Just a few weeks back, I could not help but be impressed by the sight of 1 million young people with Pope Leo at Tor Vergata Field, just outside Rome. They came to be with the new pope, of course, but also to be pilgrims and join in the Jubilee Year of Hope. Since returning to New York, I've noticed a similar trend. My pastors tell me that more people are attending Mass, and they reported a definite uptick in people freely choosing to become Catholic or return to church. All right. A recent study by Harvard University confirmed the trend among the so-called Generation Z, which saw a 6% increase from 2022 to 2023 in those identifying as Catholic. Walking through St. Patrick's Cathedral, I'm always impressed by the number of young people there, not just as tourists, but all online for confession in the Lady Chapel of Adoration, or attending one of the 7 daily masses. There are likely many reasons behind this welcome development, bless Carlo Acutis, the Italian teenager who heroically lived out his faith and died in 2006 at just 15 years of age, has provided a great role model for young people to emulate. He is not some dim figure from centuries past, but a young man who had a cell phone, loved video games, and used his computer to build an exhibit dedicated to uh, Eucharistic miracles around the world. His canonization by Pope Leo on Sunday, September 7th, is sure to make his story even better known. Like they did with the anime chick Lucy, that one fucking raincoat, blue-haired anime old thing, fucking weirdo. So will the story of the blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati also to be canonized on September 7th? A young Italian student, a fervent and joyful believer, a great lover of the outdoors, politically active in social causes. He contracted polio during his care for the sick and died at the young age of 24. His last request, written with a near paralyzed hand, was for his friend to take his medicine and give it to another. I like to think our outreach to young adults is also having an impact. Regular masses at St. Patrick's Cathedral, followed by socializing at a nearby bar or restaurant, combined with opportunities for community service and faith formation, meet the needs that I think we all desire: faith, friendship, and the opportunity to help others. Our Catholic schools, elementaries, secondary, and colleges and universities play a role as well. We placed a renewed emphasis on ensuring that our grammar and high schools, while academically excellent, are also rooted in teaching and passing on the faith in everything they do. It's not just our Catholic colleges like Frodham, Enoa, Manhattan, and St. John's where faith plays a role. We have robust campus ministries programs too at schools like New York University, I think, and Columbia. For instance, to meet the spiritual needs for undergrads and graduate students, many away from home for the first time, then to the world seems a big mess. War, injustice, famine, violence, bigotry, mass shootings, political vitriol. Those inclined to look to the world for meaning now know better. Yeah, you could say that. Finally, and most importantly, there is in the human heart an innate desire for meaning. For too long, we taught our young people that there is no objective truth, that right and wrong were outdated concepts, and if it feels good, do it. As the great Archbishop Fulton Sheen so eloquently put it, people aren't looking for a question mark, but an exclamation point. We look for clarity, not ambiguity. The Catholic faith centered on Jesus, Mr. Jesus, and his church, its belief in internal unwavering truth, and a moral code that differentiates between good and evil, grace and sin, provides that direction. The old Baltimore catechism began with a simple question: why did God make me? Its answer: God made me to know him, love him, to serve him in the world, and to be happy with him forever in heaven. God is dead. I'm just kidding. We still believe that and offer that sure and certain hope to all the world. Many are once again taking us up on that offer. There you have it. So it seems like God is not dead, right? This, right? There you have it. Young people looking for answers. Jesus. I need God to smite thee. This common mistake can mess with your body's natural Ozempic hormones and your odds of getting diabetes. The diabetes. Here we go. Here's something to chew over. Metabolic syndrome is a cluster of conditions: a large waistline, high triglycerides, high blood pressure, high fasting blood sugar, and a little good cholesterol that significantly increase the risk of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. I have woeful Brimley. I have diabetes. I'm sorry. You need 3 out of 5 of those risk factors to be diagnosed with metabolic syndrome, which affects an estimated 93 million U.S. adults. Yes, diabetes does affect a lot of adults, especially fat people. But even skinny people can get it too if they're. Dr. Jessica Garcia, a board-certified endocrinologist, a medical office at medical offices of Manhattan, warns about a common mealtime habit that can raise your risk of developing metabolic syndrome. Several studies, include reviews and clinical trials, have shown that fast eaters tend to have higher blood sugar spikes after meals and may produce less of the hormones that tell us we're full, Garcia told us the Post. This can lead to overeating. Well, yeah, because you're eating too fast, because it takes time for your body to process everything. I mean, it's the same time when you get when you somehow get cut and then you don't realize it till like right a minute or two later. It's like, oh shit, I got cut. Well, yeah, that's what happens sometimes. Oh wait, this can lead to overeating, weight gain, and insulin resistance over time. Yeah, all of which are key factors in metabolic syndrome and diabetes. Researchers from 2021 linked fast eating to 54% higher odds of getting diagnosed with metabolic syndrome compared to slow eating. You don't have to be Joey Chestnut or Takuro Kobayashi. Eat that shit like Kobayashi. What was it? Eat shrimp. It was like what? Eat shrimp fried rice like Kobayashi. To be considered. Oh, I don't remember the saying. To be considered a nimble nosher, a fast eating speed is generally defined as finishing a regular sized meal in under 20 minutes. Yeah, for me, I try to eat. Yeah, whenever I eat like In-N-Out, and like I get like a burger and fries, I fucking devour that shit. Leading to a higher and more rapid increase in blood glucose levels after meals. Yes, explained Garcia, a contributor to LabFinder. This places greater demand on pancreatic cells to secrete insulin, potentially contributing to insulin resistance over time. Garcia noted that eating at a fast pace can affect the body's natural signals related to feeling full. Correct. The GLP-1 hormone, which the body naturally produces after eating, is one of these signals. Mimic the GLP medications like Ozempic mimic the GLP-1 hormone, basically the stopping you like feeling starved, right? So that user feels fuller for longer and doesn't crave foods as often. Yes, basically it stops your cravings. Many experts recommend chewing each bite around 20 to 30 times, Garcia said. This approach supports better metabolic health and can make it easier to maintain a healthy weight, regardless of whether the food is nutritious. Properly chewing food into a soft consistency, almost like a liquid, correct, allows digestive enzymes in saliva to begin the chemical breakdown of carbohydrates and fats, enhancing nutrient absorption and promoting fullness to prevent overeating and indigestion. Chewing more slowly and thoroughly also increases diet-induced thermogenesis, the heat your body generates after a meal. Thermogenesis is the way the body generates heat to help digest and process food, yes. Garcia said, when we eat slowly, she added, it activates the sympathetic nervous system more, which can boost its heat production and increase the amount of energy the body uses. How to slow your sushi roll. Here are Garcia's 6 tips for express eaters. Set your timer for God damn it. This is for fast food eater or slow your sushi roll. This is to slow you down. Basically ADHD people won't have this problem. People who like playing with their food won't have this problem. It's people for me. I need to slow my sushi roll, basically. Anyways, there you have it. There's all the articles. I will leave everything in the I will leave all the links in the description. All of it is open source, and you can find all the stuff just by easily looking it up yourself. Yeah, have a good one.